All right, I'm going to start recording because I've had people request recordings of all of our meetings. This is going to be a little smaller, intimate group. This will be a great opportunity for you to get to know each other, to talk to Lisa, and she's going to have a fun, interactive presentation for you. I'm Yvonne Caribou. This is the last event of Global Entrepreneurship Week. Thank you all so much for coming to this event and to the ones that you've attended before. I'm really excited to end with the Better Business Bureau because one of the things I tell my students all the time is that we are all in the business of customer service. Even if you're dealing only with other businesses, if you're working within a large organization, you're providing customer service to all the people that you work with and work for. And so I think customer service is at the heart of so much in terms of success for entrepreneurs and for all of us in our careers. So with that, I'd like to introduce Lisa Gemstrude from the Better Business Bureau of Minnesota at North Dakota.
All right, thank you. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you are involved in this program for entrepreneurs this week. This sounds really exciting. There's been a lot of great programs. So thank you for staying on and being part of the caboose on the train. It's Friday afternoon. I'm so appreciative that you're here and we can have this conversation together. Would it be okay, because this is such a small group, to just tell me what type of organization or company or idea that you're representing if you haven't launched yet? I just kind of want to get an idea of who's here. I think it'll help us with the conversation, and it'll hopefully help me tailor some of what I say to something that's useful for you. So Brandy, can I pick on you first?
Sure. I wear many hats. I just pitched an idea in the last biz pitch session. So I'm trying to get an app up and going, having to do with customer service. And I'm a student and teacher and other things as well.
Oh my gosh, the app has to do with customer service?
Yes.
How exciting. Okay, love it. I already love it. Okay, Lindsay, how about you?
Hi, my name's Lindsay. I'm a marketing consultant. I own my own business called the Cardinal Marketer.
Okay, cool, thank you. And Thomas, are you available to say?
Yep, I'm Thomas. I am a student at MSU. And right now I'm in class trying to figure out how to put a business plan together for a universal remote. So, and figure out how we can market and sell one of those.
Cool. I want it already. And Emmanuel, how about you?
Hi, so I'm a graduate student, and I'm Yvonne's graduate assistant. So my first set of customers are students. I work with a lot of students, so there's that. But I'm also working on a drone delivery service, and so that would be something I'll be needing customer service for. That's all.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. So this is, I love all of this. But it goes back to what Yvonne said. We're all in some way involved in customer service. And the words customer service feel sometimes a little bit old-fashioned to us, but it's a constantly evolving thing, and expectations continue to rise. I think the nice part about a conversation about this is we are also all customers. So we have our own experiences and visions of what works well, what doesn't, and how we'd like to see things go in our own future companies and how we would like that to work. So just briefly, my name is Lisa. Nice to meet you. I work for the Better Business Bureau. I've been with the BBB for over 20 years, so I hope I can answer any question you have about BBB. We'd love to have an ongoing relationship with all the businesses in our community, and we have lots of free services to help entrepreneurs get going and all the way through the whole life cycle of your business. So we just appreciate being involved. I love working with entrepreneurs and small businesses because of the energy and excitement and just awesome ideas. And I just find that personally really energizing for me too. So I'm just going to jump right in. And what I'll do is I do have, oh, I'm sorry, Yvonne.
You missed one person that you didn't get a chance to meet, and I know her, so you need to meet her. She's
oh,
Kathy.
I think I just didn't see her on my screen. Hi, Kathy,
right.
I missed you. So what organization or company or idea are you with today?
I have joined 3 years ago the College of Business here at Minnesota State University. And I've been at the university for over 31 years. So I'm really excited. And yes, I'm in customer service big time. I supervise the front desk, and then I prepare the curriculum for the College of Business. So,
Oh, lovely. Okay. Oh my gosh. And so I'm sure you're touching and connected with many human beings at any given time. A lot of different frameworks for customer service. Yes, thank you. Really, really good group with varied interests, and I think that's going to help our conversation. My plan is to go through some formal slides to take us through the concept and some of the research that BBB has done to help us think about trust and customer service together. And then I definitely want to get ideas and hear from all of us so we can share and learn from each other, because that's such a good way to have the real life experiences as well. So I'm going to start out with trust. And trust isn't necessarily what everybody thinks about first with customer service. When you do think about customer service, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Like, and you don't have to say if you don't want, but think about that. Is it friendliness? Is it somebody reacting fast? BBB does a lot of research around trust and a lot of reading, a lot of conversations, a lot of interviews around how important trust is in a relationship. And that's what we're going to speak about here. So we started doing research back in 2015 on this topic. So we've got a little bit of research now under our belt. We've done, for those of you who are the data junkies, our research were in the form of surveys. And really, this is so important to us because of the relationship building. If you're the type of business that's just a one and done with someone, we don't recommend that as a style. It's not a good business style to do that. So in building a relationship, and you can think about your own private, personal relationships as well, trust is the foundation. And when we've talked a lot about the economy being volatile right now, consumers don't buy when they're nervous. That's just something that happens. So in building consumer confidence, there will be more business transactions. And so that trust piece is extremely important. So through our research, these are the 3 top things that help businesses, consumers trust business. The first is, and I'm not going to read every slide, but I just want you to see these so you get it into your mind as far as what's important. Honesty, integrity, transparency, a reputation that's built over time, and then the long-standing one, the one that we would probably all think of, is just good service and a quality product or service. Now, the reputation built over time piece, that is going to be tricky for a brand new business and a launching entrepreneur. How to establish yourself with a good reputation right from the beginning. It is harder to sell yourself in that environment, but we have some tips for you on how to do that and how to get started on that and how to improve your reputation that we will get to here just shortly. So let's just stop for a second. If anybody wants to offer a story about a really positive experience that they've had with a business lately. It could be online, it could be in person, or just a business that you love. What do you love about them?
I had a good experience with Chewy.com. One of the products that I got was like a cat scratcher, and it came damaged, the corner of it. And they're just like, oh, we'll send you another one. You don't have to send the other one back. And it was just like really easy and frictionless. And they seemed like they cared. And so it was quick.
Okay, that was brilliant. That was exactly just a textbook example, and those keywords, what you used, right? It was quick, it was easy, they cared. What was another one that you said? I mean,
Frictionless.
frictionless. Yes, frictionless. Do we need more friction in our lives? I don't. I don't need any more friction in my life. So right. So would you do business with them again? Yeah. You know, even though it was damaged, right? It had to do everything with the experience that you got from it. They handled it when there was a problem. And you know, some of this might seem obvious, but some of it isn't. And frankly, spending a little bit of time thinking about the basics and what you care about and how you want to have policies in place or procedures in place around this is actually going to save you a lot of time in the long run. It's really key part of business plans that I don't always see is putting ethics and putting integrity and putting customer service plans into your business plan. So if you're doing that or it's time for a refresh, this should be its own section, you know, how you deal with customers, how you're empowered, if you know, if you have staff, how they are empowered to deal with people. You put that in writing, train people on it. It's, you know, it's going to look different for all of you. So I can't outline what your business plan should say, but it should have components relating to customer service in it. Oops, I do want to mention, these are good ones too. You know what to expect, right? You get kind of trained on what should happen. And it just becomes easier for you. You know, so let's say you're a frequent flyer at a certain company. If you know exactly how to order it, you know how to get to the chat box, you know how to deal with it when something's wrong. They've managed your expectations really well because they weren't constantly changing how to interact with them. So they make it simple and they make it consistent. Business gets the job done. You trust them to tell the truth. The second to the last bullet is something I found very surprising in the research that it even came up. But if you feel like the company treats its employees well, you trust them better and you're more likely to do business with them. And that's really interesting. It's the consumers have changed. And I think we all have too. I mean, we know how to research a business before we buy. We're doing a lot more of that. That never used to be a thing. You know, we can look up who the owner is and what they're like, and you know, you can pass on companies if you don't like their political affiliation, or you can decide you don't like. You can read news articles and you're like, I don't think they treat their employees well. I don't want to do business with them. So it's really a lot more important than I think a lot of folks realize, is that level of depth that consumers are going into to research a company. So, and the last bullet point, just observation. Does it seem like the employees are enjoying working for the company? That's fascinating to me. I've always been interested in consumer behavior, customer behavior, and that particular emphasis on employees is really interesting. Now, I know in some of the circumstances of you all here today where you're, you know, just starting and launching and you don't have 20 employees or anything yet, that'll change. And it's important that you have that framework, but you can also express and position yourself with that happiness and enthusiasm, and that will create trust. That's a trust builder as well. So a little bit more on the research findings. Businesses that perceive themselves as highly trusted were more likely than others to agree that they're quick to make things right when they make a mistake, focus on treating their people well, believe and embody it, that how they treat their employees is directly connected to how successful they are. And they point out a mistake that they've made even if the customer doesn't notice. Can anybody think of an example where that has happened to them? Where a company has said, you know what, this wasn't right and we're gonna go ahead and fix it and you didn't even know? We might have to think about that for a second. If something comes to mind, share that, because those are really interesting and great. I can share one example that I know of from last year's BBB Torch Awards for Ethics competition. We did have a company who answered a similar question. Like in our competition, it has to do with doing the right thing when nobody notices. And they had to think of examples of when this happened. And it was a window company, and they'd ordered the wrong size windows for like a consumer's house. The whole house it was the wrong size windows, but it was really close. And he could have, there's like, I don't know the window world exactly, but not at all, but the terminology, but there's certain different kinds of frames that you can put to adjust windows into their window sizes to make a window fit better. But he knew, the owner knew that wasn't actually the right thing to do, that they really needed to get all the different windows, and it was just that little bit bigger, and all of them were going to be more money because it was the one size up from what it should have been. And the company, the consumer probably wouldn't have noticed if they had just framed it out the certain way and kind of covered up my point is they could have gotten away with it. And the business said to the consumer, we messed up, and we're going to we have to reorder. We're going to get all the windows. And because of that, it's a lot more expensive, and we're not going to make you pay for it. We're going to pay for it. Because it was our error, we're going to pay. I mean, it was a huge amount of money on a big home. And I think that's a really good illustration of a company making things right. When they made a mistake, they ate all the cost. It was their mistake. I mean, perhaps you're thinking, of course, that's what the company should have done. And of course they should have, but that doesn't happen in reality all of the time. So they caught the mistake, pointed it out to the customer when they wouldn't have even known, and handled it. That was lovely. Make an extra effort to look for ways to save a customer money, and provide value to customers more than making a profit. So let's think about this last bullet point for a minute. In your current circumstances, can you think of an example where you give something more to your customer than what they came to you for? I bet you all do that or have done it. I don't want to pick on anybody because it is Friday afternoon and that would be really unfair. But if you, can you guys think of something where you gave more or brought more to the customer than what they were asking you for?
I'd actually say that that's probably one of the things I need to work on is sometimes when students come to me and ask for help with their business ideas, I have to pare it back because I just sort of like bombard. Here's a whole bunch of stuff. So I got to work on that. And typically they come in asking for one thing and they leave with a list of stuff. So I do that all the time, but what I'm giving them is fairly easy to give. It's information and links and stuff like that.
That's excellent. Yeah. They're getting way more value out of their experience with you that way. And have you, and sometimes, and this is rhetorical too, a customer for whatever reason might come to you and they're not asking you for the right thing. Does that like they don't know what they're asking for, so they sort of ask this thing, and then you have to figure out what they really want and then try to provide it to them. I mean, I can only expect that happens to Kathy all the time, that people they don't really know. So you're kind of figuring out the question and the answer at once. And that's excellent customer service and just being prepared and anticipatory. So for those of you who are writing your business plans, to think about frequently asked questions, to think about weird questions, what can you do to help educate your potential customer ahead of time and help guide them through the transaction? Because some people just need help in even asking for what they want. I mean, certainly that's a little different in a more cut and dried product situation, but not always. Every business has their, like they might be coming in for a certain product, but to just take that extra time with somebody, because you might be able to discover that that's actually totally the wrong paint they should be buying, or, you know, you want to lead them down the path. So very interesting. And all of these topics go back to building trustworthiness, building that capacity to serve, to building that capacity to maintaining a long-term relationship. So actually, let me try this so it's a little easier to see. Should have had this like this. So the 5 gestures of trust were the main takeaways from BBB's research, and the 5 key pieces. And I would advocate that if you are building out your business plan, that this is how you write it. Honest, transparent, proactive, humble, and equitable. So now for each of your personal situations, you might come up with the different tactics that go into each of those categories. Honesty, be honest, provide all necessary information when it is needed. Be transparent, no secrets. You know, transparency, if you're wondering for an example of what that might be, have you ever seen, I'm going to pick on the auto dealers. I like auto dealers too, but I'm just going to pick on them for a moment, just because I used to review auto advertising. For a number of years, I did that, looking for issues with disclosures. Did you ever see something in big print, like a car for a certain price, but then in little print, there were disclosures that say, well, you only qualify for that price if this, and this are in play? So I feel like a lot of us consumers are used to seeing those type of ads, big display ads. It's really important to be transparent about the criteria if there are exceptions to something that you're trying to sell, especially with products. But it happens with services too. And it certainly happens with coupons or discounts when it comes to being clear about when somebody qualifies, if they don't, if there's a time frame on a particular offer, to be clear about that as well. Transparency is really a big deal, and that can really take its toll with your reputation even if it happens by accident. You know, it's not like we have all these businesses running around trying to be misleading. There are a few, and I actually get to work with some of that with our law enforcement partners, but so much of it is just accidental. You know, you're busy and you're not thinking about some of the smaller details. Going on, being proactive, so bringing that value without being asked, being humble, and being equitable. These are newer, I think, to the framework of and lens of looking at customer service. Do you usually think about the word humble when you think about business practices? Is that often in the top 10 things you think of? For most of us, it's not. This is a newer approach to customer service, and being humble, giving credit where credit is due, you know, deferring to others and their contributions, being generous, being thankful, being grateful. These are all pieces that build customer trust and build relationships for the long term. You're not running around solo, even if you think you are, or feel you are sometimes, but there is a caring community that's out there, and to give that two-way credit, and being humble about your success and being humble about those who have helped you is extremely trust building. And then equitable, sharing power with the customers. Being equitable can take on a lot of different flavors depending on what your circumstance is. But I still advocate that these 5 pieces would be lovely to see in your business plan? Like, okay, you know, how am I honest? Where am I honest? Where can I write something out? Where can I disclose it? How can I make an adjustment on my website? Um, it's very tactical. It's not so like philosophical. I think customer service can be very tactical if you take the time to write it out, to say, this is how I'm going to do it. This is what my company is about. These are values that we have, and I can display that they're values because I'm actually writing it out as part of my plan. Okay, so I'll just throw out this one. It's a good one. I'll just tell you about this example. John will always use a certain hardware store, even though it often doesn't have what he needs. Okay, so this is a testimonial or a story example that came to us through our research. And in this particular case, there's a little hardware store that is near where John lives. He goes there regularly because they're so knowledgeable. The employees are empowered to help people, and they are very knowledgeable about a wide variety of products. It's not a huge store that has all the products. Every time he goes in there, they help him. If they don't have the product that he needs for his job, they tell him, well, you could go to that store and they have it. You know, like in the example with John that he used, is there was a product that they could order for him, but they knew he wanted to get the job done that weekend, and there was no way that they were going to be able to get it in their store in time. So they referred him to their direct competitor on purpose, because they knew that would help him, because he needed that one thing is really important for this particular job. I know that they have it and you can go get it there. John just loves it. He just trusts them completely because he gave away business to his competitor. He's still going to go back to that little hardware store first and always check with them first before he goes on. I just think that's really heartwarming, and it's yeah, I'm curious if you guys have feedback on that story.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing happened to me. I'm renovating a house right now, and I went to this small hardware store down the street to get a nailer, a large nailer to put together stud walls. And the guy, they didn't have it, but he told me exactly which one to buy from the big box store. And I really value that.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's trust building. It didn't take them long probably to give you that advice and steer you that direction.
Right.
But are you going to go back to them next time when you have a project?
Exactly. And he was providing me value, and I wasn't even paying for anything. I mean, he was telling me, I said, oh, is that the brand that you like the best? And he said, told me all about it. Like, yeah, for 20 years, I've been using this brand. I've heard of other people using these ones, and these are the features that I like about that product. We just don't sell it here. You can go there to get it. So, I mean, I feel like now I owe them because of the value that he provided me.
I love your phrase. You said they were providing me value and I wasn't even paying him for it. Grab that quote and like sit in that for a little while. What is something that, or how could I provide value to my people, even if I can't deliver exactly on what their need is, and brainstorm on that a little bit, because if you've pre-thought about it, you'll be able to pull it out of your pocket when you need it. You know how that works. Any of us, if we pre-think about a situation before it happens, you already have that experience ready to draw upon. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Okay, so this one too, is there a company, and online, we can talk about online for a minute. Is there a company that it's just so easy for you to buy from, or like you just totally trust it? You have no trouble being like, yep, I'm going to go there and buy something. There probably is, you know, and you're kind of thinking of why I like doing business with them. Why does that, do they make it easier, fun, or, you know, do they have really good customer service? Or, you know, is it really fast to get something handled? It's really great when when it works well. I mean, I don't know if any of you have a lot of extra time on your hands. I'm just gonna guess probably not, right? We're pretty well tapped out in terms of how busy we are, and I mean, even under this year's unique circumstances, I don't know about the rest of you, but I've certainly like filled up all of my space. You know, like you maybe got some time back in one area, but you just went ahead and filled it with something in another area. Speed is still really high on people's list of what they are looking for from a product or a service. So when you're thinking about customer service, it's hard to get around speed. I mean, it's not going to work in every situation, but we just have a really fast society right now. So if you can't be full of speed, which people appreciate, then the key has always been around managing customer expectations. Just tell people about how long something should take, what can they expect. Once their expectations are managed, you have a lot more freedom. Communicate. Okay, so here's another example. Sonia really likes a company's product. She would like to buy it again, but she's not going to. And in this, you can maybe think of your own experiences in your life where this is the case as well. What happened to Sonia is she bought, it was like a gift basket that had, I think, food and wine and cheese and some things like that. And she sent it to her parents. So she organized it, she mailed it like a big, like a care package, a big gift care package thing. And that's actually really huge this year for obvious reasons. A lot of people, they can't see each other, so they're mailing things to each other like crazy. Like I can't come and hug you, so I'm gonna make you a cool gift basket and I'm just gonna send you things. I'm gonna show my love by buying you stuff, which is kind of understandable this year because that's just what people are doing. She sent it to her parents. Her parents loved it. Everyone loves the quality. It was also really easy to buy from this company. It went right away. The quality was good. It looked pretty. Everything was awesome, except she got billed a few weeks later and started getting automatically billed because she had bought a subscription to this gift service. So now her parents were going to get these big gift baskets monthly for this a lot of money, and that was never what she intended. It was supposed to be a one-time thing. She liked the product. She loved the quality. Her recipient loved it. Everything about it was good, except we have this transparency issue and the disclosure issue of she had no idea she was signing up for a subscription when she signed up. It was like there, but it was just buried. It wasn't clear and conspicuous, that's legal words, and BBB uses that too. You need clear and conspicuous disclosures about that type of thing, and they weren't willing to work with her on it. It was when you bought it, that was part of the customer agreement, and now you need to just see it out for the next 12 months. So anyway, has that ever happened to you where you have liked the product, but you're not going to buy it again? Can you think of an example of that?
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. Now, it wasn't for 12 months continuously, thankfully, but I was out shopping for my sisters and I stumbled on this site, Just Fab, and they had really good deals and the shoes are really pretty, and I knew my sisters and my mom would love them. So I ordered a few pairs and I traveled home. And by the time I got back, I got in charge like 4 times and I had just packages of shoes in my house. I mean, I couldn't use them. and my family was far away, but I was able to cancel it. But I didn't know it was one of those things they hid somehow, and I didn't know it was a sub. I thought it was just a one and done like everywhere else.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. You're like, you don't want that to happen again. That wasn't what you intended. That wasn't what you expected. And so that's a good test. So if you're setting up your own, you know, putting the business person's hat back on, if you're setting up your own websites or your own retail stores or whatever, have somebody practice buy from you. And just not that you're trying to do anything wrong, it's you're being extra careful, where let them practice, like trying to get it from you different ways and see if it's clear. Somebody who doesn't understand it the same way you do, do they see this disclosure? Do they know this comes with the product or it doesn't? So I guess we've had a few different ones of these. Here's another person. She doesn't really need another product from this company, but she just like can't wait to buy it from them again. I think we all want to have customers like this, where they're just like, they're so excited, they just can't wait to come back to you. We can skip that. But I just wanted to use a few examples there so we could put it in like real person, you know, experience, and not so much, oh, the survey says this is important. But when people offer up their own experiences, it helps. So just to talk a little bit about customer service and communication and try to make this really succinct, is when you think about communication, these are 3 examples, but I'm curious, other things that you're thinking about in terms of where you could communicate with customers. And I'm not talking about advertising right here, even though that is really, that's important. That's a whole nother, marketing and advertising is a whole nother discussion. But there is customer service involved inherently in every way that you communicate with customers. And that includes signage and even decor. So have you ever been in a store where you were encouraged with the what you could see around you, or vice versa, something that really put you off if it had something up in the store that from a signage point of view, or sayings or something along that line? Like, for example, you might go into a store that has a lot of encouraging things written all over that might not even be really related to the store, but they just like put up a lot of positive vibe. I'm a positive vibe kind of girl, so I genuinely like that. You know, like, oh, there's a positive quote. There's a little, you know, any day is a good day to be happy, that kind of thing. I like that. But I've also been in stores where they have funny stuff up, but it's sarcastic, or, you know, I don't even know a good example of that right now, but like things that might not be perceived in the same funniness level by all the customers that come in. That's just a small example, but that can affect somebody's buying experience depending on what kind of words that they see when they come into your store. So that's a kind of an adjacent issue. But think about that. If you are setting up a storefront, like what kind of vibe are you putting up in there? And could this be, would this help the customer's experience, or could this not work with the customer experience? So signage, directional signage, things along that line has a lot to do with customer service. So again, getting really tactical for what you are putting in your business plan. Do you have signs? If you're coming and going, if this in this example, it's a storefront, but if you leave for lunch every day at noon, are you really clear about that? And you've got that on the door, you know, things. You would be amazed how many businesses don't remember this stuff. That's why I'm saying it. It's because it's not always the first thing people think of. pre and post contact. This one can look really different, but if you have a customer list that of people who shop from you, some of you won't have that as your situation, and some of you will, where you will know their have access and know their names and their email addresses and their phone numbers. You know, when you have a pre-existing relationship, you can reach out to your customers. When you think about trying to draw them in and give them information, the pre-contact can be really helpful. Some businesses do blogs or emails or letters or tips that they send out to their customers. And some people, you know, you can always opt out of stuff like that, but some customers really love it, and it positions you as an expert that you're helping them without them buying anything from you. And that adds to legitimacy, improving reputation, trust, and long-term relationships. And then afterwards, could you do something, or could you do something that's the extra mile, something a little different than what other people experience with their transactions? So I know here it says an email to show appreciation. That could work really well. Is there something else you can do? I know I'm doing so much online ordering. Many of you are doing that as well. I have just received some lovely things that I have not noticed in the past, and now sometimes I get a product and it'll have like a handwritten note on the inside, like thanking me for buying it, and it's on like beautiful like stationery, or like I mean, I'm not typically receiving that, and now I get that, and I feel really special as a consumer, and that's just it's extra work. But then again, trying to get a whole new customer is a lot of extra work too. If somebody loves you, you don't have to work as hard to get them, but you do have to still work hard to keep them. So your special touches for all of your different experiences might look different. But if you think about communicating with them while they're there, including signage, communicating with them before the sale, and communicating with them after the sale is going to put you much higher up echelon of delivering good customer service. So I would like to segue just briefly, and then we can do some group discussion too before we wrap up, on online reputation management. It feels like this is an important key component of, especially for being an entrepreneur and you're just getting going with your plans and how you want to be positioned and how you want to look online, because that's what everybody's doing. They're researching you online. And I've found, working with a lot of small businesses over the years, that they sometimes don't think about this until there's an issue. And then they start looking around to see what people are saying or what they look like online, and they realize, oh my gosh, there's so much out there that I didn't even realize I'm connected with because they weren't looking for it. And so if you start with this idea as you get going and start to launch yourself, you are doing yourself a favor. And it is tied directly to customer service, because there are opportunities to address both positive and negative and neutral things that are being said about you online, and then you can proactively deal with that. So let's talk about that for a minute. Complaints and reviews. So for the newbies in the group, you probably don't have complaints or reviews yet, but you will. So if you have, and if you've just gotten going, I want you to think about these sites. I did include Better Business Bureau. We handle both complaints and reviews for companies all over North America. So I would check your company with us and see what we're saying about you. And then of course you can work with our team if you think something's inaccurate. But we have everybody listed that we know that's actively doing business right now Google, Yelp, Angie's List, Facebook, Twitter. Some chambers do handle complaints and reviews, different industry specific sites. And, you know, just that blanket typing in the company name and just seeing what pops up is a really good idea. So is typing your company phone number. So is typing in your company email. So is typing in, if you, as you grow, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 employees, typing in the employee's name and seeing what comes up. You have to do a little sleuthing on your own to see what people are saying. And you might be surprised. You might be pleasantly surprised. But no business goes without somebody saying something bad about them once in a while, because that's, I mean, have you met the American public? The American public says things, and they like to say stuff online, and they like to, you know, especially if it's negative, you know, if they want to take a shot at somebody, it's a lot easier to do that online when you're kind of protected that way. So just sort of take that, think about those places where you should look to see it, if there are complaints and reviews. I will say, from BBB's point of view, there would never be like a secret complaint or review that you don't know about, because we notify companies when they have complaints. We tell them. We don't just like have a secret stash of complaints that companies don't know about. That would be weird if we did that. We don't do that. So tips on responding online. You know, and go ahead and look at some of these ideas. Listen, apologize. Number 2, I know I'm drawing on 20 years experience with this one, but I am appalled, and I'll tell you this plainly. I am appalled how many business owners cannot keep it positive and professional. Like, I just can't believe it. It floors me. You can disagree with somebody, but it is not going to turn out well if you don't position yourself as being positive and professional, because people copy and paste these things. They share them. What you say in an email to somebody is shareable. Figure everything that you say to somebody could be replicated and shared and put on places and go all over. I cannot believe the amount of businesses that I have seen respond to a consumer in a nasty way. And I just don't want that for any of you, because that will not end up well. It just won't. It doesn't mean you have to do whatever the consumer says. All this recommendation is keep it positive and professional. You know, even if you're angry, even if they're wrong, even if they're lying. Lots of consumers lie. That is also true. But if you keeping it positive and professional is, I don't even know how to underscore that more. That is the most important thing you can do. Number 3, don't get sucked into drama. So this is another thing that people businesses have a very hard time with. You know, there are trolls. There are people who are trying to just make other people look bad. There are competitors who might just want to stir the pot and make you look bad. There are people who just like the drama, want the fight, like that kind of interaction. Those you don't have to respond to. So like in most cases, I would say be professional, respond, you know, but there are some people that are just so wild in what they're saying and doing that it doesn't get you anywhere. And what's actually kind of nice, and hopefully I can give you a little reinforcement with this, is if you don't respond and you're kind of worried, oh, I didn't respond, should I have? The other people of the world who are looking at the review or the whatever, they're getting more savvy about being able to spot those kind of tactics that people use too. You know, so if you have 9 really good reviews and you have 1 kind of crazy outlandish one, think of your own experiences. We've all looked at reviews. You know, if it's got a ton of good and then like a couple of bad, I don't know. I don't know. It hasn't turned me off from using a company if there's a couple of really wild bad ones, especially if I can read what it says. I might be like, that person's, that I don't know. They lose their own credibility. Does that make sense? So have you had an example yet where somebody's tried to like bait you into some drama online? That's kind of a scary question to ask you, so you don't have to answer that. But maybe show of hands, has anybody tried to do that to your company or to your organization? Or, and if it, thank you. Well, if it hasn't, it probably will. I mean, this is part of what business is. You're going to have some lovers and some haters. It's what happens when you deal with humans. But just try to keep your temper in check. I thought this one was pretty interesting. This is a common thing that we see online. You know, somebody who's just mad. So-and-so promised me a free oil change. We brought it in and now they want to charge me and argue with me over it. It is a sad day in America. I mean, I bet we've all seen a review like this from time to time, right? So now you can just kind of take a look at how the company responded. Thank you for giving us feedback. We're sorry you had a negative experience. Our goal is total satisfaction. We want to get more details. Please call me or this name at this number. You know, like, what can we do here to deal with it? And then this is pretty cool. Here's just an example of what's transpired after this. Oh, whoops. Did it go to? Oh, that was a different one. But my point is, here's another example of trying to rectify the situation. And then the customer, many people do this. They provide follow-ups. And if you are a consumer, putting back on your consumer hat, if you've done a negative review on a company and they rectified it afterwards, go back and put something nice in that, pay it forward because they fixed it. And now you've left that bad consumer review out there and you didn't do an update. You know, I just think we could all do a little bit better at that. And then this person went ahead and provided an update saying they fixed it for me. The dealership redeemed it themselves. I would delete my prior post if I knew how. But at least they put it on there that this got rectified and I feel good about it. So, you know, tips on responding. Don't ignore the complaints. And then the little stars, unless they're one of a crazy troll, then it doesn't usually serve you to continue that interaction. You know, you can use any complaint as an opportunity. That BBB, it marches to that drum all the time. All complaints is giving you information about your business. Use complaints or negative reviews as a way to better your situation and thank the person for bringing it to your attention. Whatever it is, it gave you information about an experience. And then you can always highlight what you can do for somebody. So anyone who's reading it, if you can say, I'm sorry this happened, we can do this for you. These are the other kinds of things that we do. Throw those puppies in there so people can see what you are willing to do. And then if somebody says something nice about you, thank them, say hi, love them up, show some love and happiness back towards them in the universe, to keep that bond going. Remind them that they're important to you. They took the time to say something nice about you. That is a huge win. That's like giving you a big hug, and you know, you want to respond positively back. So I know I could go through a lot of other examples, but let's I'll wrap with that piece. And I just want to hear from this group about any thoughts about what I said, but particularly what you might take as an action step from what you've heard, or something that you felt, you know, it's something that you want to do something with or think about now going forward. I know It's hard. It's almost 5:30 on a Friday. I mean, this is but what I'm hoping for all of you, excuse me, is that customer service, it really isn't an old-fashioned thing. It's something that I'd encourage you to think about on an annual basis. So you don't have to think about it constantly, but purposefully think about it on an annual basis. Put some customer service components into your business plan. Think about customer service from different frameworks than you have in the past, like especially things like being humble or being generous or empowering or teaching your potential consumers. The special touches, what can you do pre or post interaction with the customers, are pieces that you will thank yourself later for weaving that into your systems and processes, and not just taking each situation on the fly. That's actually, I mean, it is good to look at individual situations, but you're not doing yourself a favor. It will save you time in the long run if you have a system. Consistency is your friend as well, because customers talk to each other, and if you do something for one and then you don't for another one because you can't remember what you did 2 years ago for somebody, I just don't want you to have a tangled web of what you're doing and how you're reacting to certain situations. So my goal today was to just get you thinking about customer service, about developing long-term relationships, how to get it into your business plan, and help support all the baby businesses out there that are trying to grow and build your reputation and your relationships. So hope I gave you a couple of new things to think about. And we can take any questions, or you can be free to be amazing the rest of the weekend. Any thoughts? Otherwise, I'll turn it back to Yvonne.
I have a thought, Lisa, and a question.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest takeaways was putting the ethics and integrity and customer service plans and how to empower employees into the business plan. I started to put some of that in there, and then I thought, is this like too soft of a thing to put in there? But I guess you've reaffirmed that I should do that. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, do you mean like what you'll empower the employees to be able to handle, like in the...
Exactly.
Yeah.
This company I worked for, I just saw so many ways they could improve the way that they listen to their employees and value their employees. Very easy things, but the management just didn't want to do it. So I kind of, while I was there, formed my own plan of how I'm going to treat my employees. So I guess I could put that into my business plan.
That's awesome. And you know, one thing that tends to go a long way with customer service is empowering the employee to handle it. You know, a lot of business owners like hold that really close, like, boy, I just want to be the one who handles it. But what you run into is the time thing, the lag time between whatever happened and whenever you can handle it. And then also just knowing that the customer wants speed and they want to be handled right away. And, you know, I think we all, I mean, there's times when we all get agitated, and, you know, the longer you have to deal with something, the bigger problem it becomes, even if it was little to begin with. If somebody knows ahead of time that they can just address it, like give them parameters, you know, like you can't give them A, B, C, and D, but you can do this, this, this. It just makes a huge difference. And the employees feel better too. They have more power to do the right thing and be the brand ambassador for their company and just handle it. So, but that's where a policy, a procedure is so important. And you think, well, just deal with it when it comes up. No. So thank you for that, Brandy. Good example. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that is so much of a good thing. I was just, one of my last classes I had, the instructor was telling us, you know, she asked us about our favorite brands, and then she told us about and I'll repeat it, LL Bean, that she can tell that they have empowered their employees to help customers, because there was some issue. She called them and right away they helped her. So she passed on the word of their business to all of us, and I'm passing it on. I haven't even experienced. I mean, you hear the good stories about the customer service, and I think that's a huge reason why, is because employees have been empowered to do that. So yeah, that's awesome. And then my question was, do are the studies and research results available, like from this study, on the Better Business Bureau site?
Yes, yes, thank you. So on bbb.org, that's our main website. There is, you'd have to scroll down all the way to the bottom, I think on the first homepage, but you can get to the BBB Foundation, and they have all their research reports. And there are a lot of good ones in there that you guys might also find valuable. This one's called, I took some of the stuff from the top. It's called the 5G, or the 5Gs, the 5 gestures of trust. And then there's more data, definitely, around that. And there's another good one that I just love, and Yvonne's maybe even heard me talk about this before, because I think every business should know about it, are the scams targeting small businesses. And I know that's not what we're talking about today, but that is such a huge, huge problem. And that research study is in there as well, that talks about what to look for, what to be wary of, what are kind of the red flags. The last thing a small business or an entrepreneur needs is a fake loan, or to be sending money to somebody that's not a real consumer. And, you know, we just want to get ahead of that with knowledge. So I'm glad you asked me about the research.
Yvonne, we can't hear you.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. With my company, there's a challenge where we do hosting, and so we have a lot of customers that have domain names. And a common scam that's out there is companies sending regular US mail or sending emails asking businesses to renew their domain name. And if in some of them, they send the money and nothing happens except that they're out the money. Their domain name hasn't been updated, and they just have lost money. In a couple of them, if they send the money and the company takes over their domain name, because they not only send money, but they send information about their domain name that allows that person to then, get the domain. Loss of your domain name means no website, no email. Your business is basically shut down online. So kind of a big deal. And that's one I run across with my business all the time. I wanted to mention Bob's Red Mill. If you want another example of an amazing business in terms of their customer service, Bob's Red Mill out of Oregon. They sell grains and baked goods and stuff like that in Oregon. Bob himself, the guy whose picture is on the package, shows up at the mill. If you're in the restaurant, you might find yourself at the next table from Bob. And he will ask you, how's the food? How are things going?
Wow.
And every employee is empowered to solve whatever problem you have. I had a gift card that I had lost, and I found it again. It was over a year old, and it said right on it that it wasn't valid, past 90 days or whatever. But I gave him a call just on the off chance, and the guy that I talked to was fully empowered to go, oh, no problem. Here, give me that number. I'll reinstate that. Okay, let me credit that. And oh, by the way, we're going to send everything you ordered with free shipping. Thanks a lot. Just amazing. So then I'm telling you about it, right?
Yeah, right.
I
Yes.
wouldn't have otherwise.
This is so perfect. Right. This is how it works. Right. Right.
You gave me several good things to think about, Lisa. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap things up and thank everybody for coming. Thank you all for your participation in Global Entrepreneurship Week. Thanks so much, Lisa, for being involved with us again with the Better Business Bureau. I always learn something from every one of these seminars that I find really useful. Recording of this will be available, as well as all the other things that we did for Global Entrepreneurship Week, and I'll be sending out links to everybody.